All right, guys, how we doing? Sam here with you. It is Monday, the 26th of August, and I sort of ran the polls this morning, and you guys were two really stood out. The first one here being Cardano to the dollar tether. Now, we've looked at this recently here. It's not a lot of change here, although I think if we're trying to get our most optimistic count on this, I think there's a reasonable case here for this count. It's a little bit of a change, right? So at first glance, when you look at it, your eye just kind of wants to do this, right? Think, okay, there we go. Well, I got a higher high here, but maybe not. So, I mean, to some degree, it's a reflection of how far down we are and where zero is. So, yeah, we got some distance here. So we're sitting at, what are we, I'll call it 50 cents. Trying to be optimistic here. If this is the pivot of the 5, and we're thinking, because there is a case to be made for some sort of an impulse going in here. Are we doing something like that? That's gonna be ugly here. I don't know that we need to go there yet, because I think this count is valid. It's a contender right now. It's not, the prettiest scenario. It's not what you would hope for. And if you're long Cardano, this is about all you can cling to here. I certainly don't think we're at a time to be looking for a buy here. Although I can certainly understand the thinking that, it's okay. So we're down here at this prior. Oh, God damn it. Come here. So even if we went down here. All right, so the prior support here, demand comes in down here. Maybe that's a puff off the hopium pipe. Let me just go through the count here. I think the reason I think we can play this is twofold here. Excuse me. So if I'm looking here, so if I think I've got 1, 2, I can get a clear impulse here. The 3 is a perfect 1, 6, 1, 8. 2, 4 doesn't overlap. We get so that's all well and good. So if I take my 2 here from my 3 here, so I get right to the golden zone. So I get a technical pivot here. Now if I go to the absolute low, we're kind of in between, but working the 2 to the 3, I do get this. So right, is that a failure swing? It's a little tricky here. So how else are you going to count this? Doesn't quite work as a diagonal. It's a little bit ugly. Yeah, you could probably squeeze a diagonal in there. But I do think we can consider this as an option. So we can consider the potential here for an expanded flat. All right, so 3, 3 heading down for the 5. That's the most optimistic Elliott count I can see here. So from the potential 5 here, we go 3 into an A, 3 into a B, and we're in the process of finishing the C down here via this impulse here. Well, it appears to be an impulse right now. Is that right? That's a little bit. Well, are we stretching too much here? Well, so you start checking and you go, all right, well, how's the B relative to the A? So I got to change the template here. So if I go here, so here's the 1, 2, 3, 6, the length of the A projecting up. So we are definitely in the sweet spot for where you might anticipate if we're going to have an expanded flat. Well, that makes sense. So I can see that. Now if we're thinking down here, well, we could take the length of the A. Down here, project from the proposed B high. I've got a 272. It's not quite very close to the tick. So a couple of cents go through it, but we're right to the 272. So interestingly, we get this pivot here after the. I know it's a little bit of a stretch in there. So you're having to think this way, right? So you've got your A, B, C into your B high there to give you the expanded flat. So maybe I got something to work with here. Maybe on the 272. I don't hate it. I did notice this. So let me pull these off here, because I think you see the count that I'm after here. So if I look here, because these pivots are kind of random, I'm looking for something technical. So from the low, I forgot the wrong. Let me get my measured move back on. So here's another golden zone. Right now we're denied here, so straight up, down, right to the golden zone. Front run, hard to know. Right, it's a bit of a stretch. But then I look here, I see that potentially you've got another algo play here, so you can just see the little internal retrace. So I want to check there as well. So just moving it over. If I work from let's get it down here. So I work from this low, we get Vegas wave. We're between the 50 and the 618. We get the target here. A little shy on second. Hard to know, right? So you just kind of work with that and go, well, whatever they did, right? Doesn't really, how does that help us here? Well, I'm just trying to build in the idea here that, one, I've got a couple of technical pivots here. So just right off the bat here, so my eye just thinks, okay, well, maybe a channel here. Can I connect all of these? Get it right on that. Right, but I want to project down. So two things I could do. So sorry, guys. So sorry. Two things I can do. I can just clone that and drive it down here, but I figured this out here that I could use the fib channel here and just set it with the 50, so I could essentially recreate the same thing. So if I get right on that and I come right down to these two pivots that I'm trying to get right on those. All right, so we're a couple of ticks shy here, but I connect these two, I get this, I just barely miss here, but note here, so as I come down, so all I've done here is just added it's the wolf tool. So if I took this down, just if it was going straight down like this, with 50, 100, well, this would be 15225. So all we're doing here is just turning it into a channel. Right, so there's the channel. So note here, I get the 2.5 to the tick. All right, so I'm trying to build a case here for some confluence. So I've got this that I can stack on top of it. So I got that there. So God darn it, so sorry guys. So I've got a little confluence down here. So I've got the pivot here. So I've got the sloping 2.5. I've got the 2.27. Well, it's not to the tick, but very close. So that has me thinking, right? So I want to think wolf waves, wolf range, right? Since it's working on the channel, I want to look at it in terms of potentially any other confluence I can build here. So if I just come over here, I'm going to go to my wolf with my 50s in it, since I'm getting the 50s here. So here's my first pivot is right here. So I got to, oh shit, I got to pull it over this way. Okay, so let me do it this way. All right, right on that. Pardon me. I want to use this. So per the Elliott count, I've got a straight push down. So for that being the 1, 2. So if you notice here now, I know it's a little hard to see. I got a lot on here. So if I take that length, and I well, here I can just show this. Just clone this to make it a little easier to see. Right. So I just double that. Right, so you can see here's the range, right? Here's the straight, it's from the high. We essentially go straight here. I don't get any sort of well, I get a little something here, but I get my little retrace here, but right here, so now I've hit exactly double that. I mean, to the tick. Right, so note here, I'm just trying to build a case for confluence. Do I have a technical pivot here? All right, so I got the 227, I got the 100, I got the down sloping channel, I got the 2.5 channel. I've got 100% range expansion from the proposed wave 1 pivot here. So, all right, so I'm starting to like this pivot. At least I know I've got a technical pivot. Note the point of control is right here. Not granted, that's visible range here. But we can just see we're pretty close here. So could we be done down there? I've got a nice little dose of confluence down here at this pivot. Do I have enough there? Well, it's where the Elliott can be helpful. So let me, that's a 4 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour, take a look here. All right, so let's see if I can do it this way. Let me see if I can. Let's take that off and let's take that off. There we go. Okay, all right, so I'm figuring this out. Okay, so there we go. So we've got all that confluence. Down here. So coming from the high, right? It's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the low. It's not a gorgeous one, but I get a little ABC into the 2. So you're looking, is it here? Is it here? I think I'm more inclined to go here with the shallow 2 than this one, because otherwise, so it's either 1, 2, 1, 2. But I think this works here. So I got to go 1, 2, I mean, boy, the subdivision here is brutal. But so I would wick this off as the proposed wave 1. Now, potentially, right, you're back here, you're moving that. If this is not going to resolve here, you're back here thinking, oh, maybe that's the 1-2. And this would be the 1-2. Oh, shit. So of your third, so if we're going to have an impulse, I need an impulse in here, so I'd have to be 1-2. I don't think that's going to be long enough. Sorry. So this is why I didn't choose this as my 1-2 within. Well, it is long enough. So possibly, it wouldn't change that. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't know that it matters. Although this was the pivot that gave me that 100% expansion. So tentatively here, maybe back. So it's the kind of thing that I would do this, right? You guys see me do this a lot. So I'll just wick that off and say, potentially got to revisit this if this is going to change down here. Either way, whether the 1 is here, or so there's no threat to the 4. I'll leave it here since I know that was technical on the expansion. Now, at first glance here, let me take this off. At first glance, it looks like, oh hell, come on, man, that's a perfect triangle. Well, not so fast. All right, it looks like you got a triangle. So my first thought was, oh, triangle. But as you work through the subdivision, sorry, on the way down, it just doesn't work, right? So where's the 1? So this would likely, if we're going to try and finish down here, this has to be your 1, and I'll be damned, it overlaps just enough to blow that count up. So I think you got to do it this way. So I know, I see it, right? So but it would be an imperfect triangle. So I think you got to go A, B, C into the 4. 1, 2. There is a little impulse there. It's a slight truncation in the 5. But let me open it up here. So I think you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 1 here. I know it's not gorgeous, right? So you got to go 1 ABC into the 2, 1 ABC into the 2. It's the only way to get it to work, I think. All right, so I know purists will be not happy with that, but I think you gotta consider the fact that I need an impulse here. Well, pardon me. At least I need a decent wave 3 here. So if this is the length of my 1 here projected from my 2, so this helped me build a little confidence in this alternate. So note where my wave 3 goes, right? So here, of the internal, so I get a little pivot here. So this would be 1. Oh shit! Here, let's do it this way. If this is 1, 2 this way, well, I'm long enough here. If it's 1, 2 this way, then I'm getting right to the 618. So it's a bit of a, you're going to make a guesstimate here as to where that is. But I'm looking for the internal division here. So if I label it, I think you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 3 here. So let's take this up a degree. All right, so change that color so you can see it a little better. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives me the 3. Looks a lot like I know, you're gonna have to trade it as an ABC. ABC looks like a 5. I know, I see it. Can't say I love it, but I think we got to live with it. Yes. So you'd have to do this. You'd have to approach it here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These have to move down. So I can get the 5. This has got to go up a degree. There we go. So we've got, from this 1, 2. All right, so let's measure that. So length of the 1 projected from the 2. All right, so I'm proposing this is my 3 here. Here's my high probability zone for my 3. 16118, 175. So putting that all together, I feel pretty good about the 3 here. Now this just looks like a 3 wave. So let me pull this off. All right, so this is kind of all teeing up into, are we done here? Well, let's just do a couple of things. So let's consider this possibility. If this is the 2, 4, well, that's got my attention. All right, so if this is the 3 and this is the 1, pardon me. Oh, pardon me, I'd want it out here. So let's do it two ways. Let's do the on the larger degree here. So in green, 1, 2, 3. Let's get that right here. All right, so pretty much, all right, starts to look like a channel. So I go, well, shit, why am I using trend lines? Just use a channel, right, for the precision. So I can, from this, I can just grab my 2 through the proposed 4 and come back to my proposed 1. You can, sometimes it's annoying to do this here, but if I extend back left here, I can see I can catch it just right. So, but usually if you just draw it here, it'll be right on it here just from holding it. So I've got this clear channel that's in play with a perfect tag here. This looks good. So I've got a 3-wave here. So potentially now I want to look for some sort of relationship. If that's the A, that's the B. Well, I've done 100 to the tick. So I've got a nice little ABC going in here, potentially, right? Now, this could blow up, right? If we get a big kick here, right, that fails. So let's bring you here. Let's bring you down. Okay, so there's a candidate for the 4. It fills the channel. Gosh darn it. It fills the channel just perfectly. ABC. Okay, so now are we technical from the 2 through the length of the 3? Well, let me change my template. All right, so here's the 38. So it's not bad, right? We go a little bit through the 38, but look at the channel just catches. I'm right here. I don't overlap the 1, so everything looks quite good. So it gives me a nice clean target down here. And I don't, when do we get there? Well, hard to say, but I can certainly see how we could end up down here to finish that 5 count off. So 3, 4, I'm trying to finish the 5 down here. Don't think we're done yet. All right, so here, what's interesting here, let me go to a 3-hour. Well, here's the 2618, that length. Now, if I put a few things back on, so we're looking for that to finish down here. So if I put some of this back on here that I had hidden, and what else did I hide? Right here. Okay. All right. So now I'm putting all. I know it's a lot of lines here, so maybe this is going to be too much. So sorry. God, it's just relentless here. Okay. So if I'm coming down here, well, I'm kind of in between. So I'm not loving that as much. I'm looking for something. So at this point, I don't see, unless I went to the 25 and split that channel, which I could do it this way, right? So I could take that and that, right? And then I'd have the split of that channel. Maybe, right? That may be too much to hope for here. So, I'd probably dig through here to see if we come down here and pivot here. We'll look for something that would relate to one of those higher pivots up here. Just kind of eyeballing here. I don't think a median line is going to get me there. Yeah, it's going to be too, well, the 30 is going to get me. That's not quite good enough. So this is, I've got a reasonable target down here, but I haven't found the geometry from above here. So that, perhaps if we get a pivot down here, we'll be back here revisiting that. But I do think we've got a reasonable case here. Now, if we come down here and we finish that, excuse me, so here, let me take this off just to clear up the chart. If we do finish here, so of course, my suggestion is never try and pick the turn unless you're buying into the idea. Well, it's down here at what would we be here, 40 cents. If you're a raging bull long term, and I know Cardano has a very devoted following. Well, if we're going to get a push out of here, at least give me something like that, right? That's kind of what we're looking for. The idea being the trade is right here. Give me the technical pivot down here. We'll figure out the geometry from above. If I get a swing, which is very common, so even if I just used, right, well, that would be a reasonable thing to use. So I can just use the last pivot before we go down. If I'm going to pivot down here, well, something along these lines here, right? This is the wave 1 pivot, so that could be in play. But we're just essentially going right back into where we know there's going to be algo resistance. Just using a dominant before we go down. I don't have this target, but if we get something like that, this would be a perfect push. This is very common, right? We teach this in the day trading room. So if we get a push out of the channel, it's the visit from above so essentially testing that trend line. Here's your trade right here, right? Now, granted, you got to get through the algo resistance, but Right? The outward resistance is always there, right? Sooner or later, something has to break, right? Or we go sideways indefinitely. So that potentially puts you in your low, and now we're off. This is not overly crazy. We'd be looking up here at 87 cents. But again, I would not, so it's me personally, I don't want to try and pick the pivot, right? Remember the saying, buyers at lows create new lows. So I don't want to be that guy with a stop right, just a couple of ticks underneath it, right, which can be the fuel to drive this thing lower. So I'd rather wait, show me, give, God darn it, give me a higher low. So you could be, a couple of different ways you could trade that. You could trade the breakout here, right? Although I wouldn't necessarily do it that way because, well, think of it this way. So if I'm here, get my measured move back on. If you're trading the break, if you wait, right, so this is, I see this, people recommend this approach quite often. So if you wait for the break here and you're buying right into the golden zone, right? So you want to be careful about that, right? So if you wait, oh, here we broke the pivot, boom, what did I just buy into? Now, again, it has to break for this to eventually get launched here. If we're going to get a low here, some sort of an impulse has to come off of this, right? So, but do you want to buy right into it? It's the advantage of buying down here with a stop under this pivot, so you get a little headroom here. So if it does pivot and turn there, and then we end up going down again. So this ends up being, so maybe we're reconsidering the count here, and this maybe we're putting the 4 over here because this doesn't resolve. We get the 4 here. Now we're pushing down for the 5. You got to watch out for that, right? You just don't want to buy right into a golden zone. Now if it gets through, that confirms the 3. Then the next trade is the 4 to the 5, right? But then eventually this is all likely, right? Nothing's inevitable. Likely to just start that process. We'd have a nice big fat 1 coming out. God damn it. Coming out of here, right? So then there's your, right, that could take a while. Right, it's not pretty in the alt space right now. So, but something like this, Cardano, making that transition from relentless bear to, oh, okay, I got a technical pivot down here. I can make the count work. I got a 1, 2. I've broken through that resistance. Of course, next one you got to go to. I'd probably go here next. But then eventually, right, we don't, so look, you don't eventually get through it until you get all the way up here and you break this resistance from that pivot, right? And again, I don't have the low here, so don't hold me to these numbers. If this is our low, that's what it'll look like. So a lot has to happen here for that to rally. But right now, looks to me like it's not time to be a buyer. There's probably a short sale in there for the aggressive sellers. All right, if you're comfortable trading that down, go for it. All right, I'd wait for the little retrace, and I think you can buy it. Okay, guys, there you go. All right, so we're going to do a couple today. So I'll be back to you shortly.